You got to listen to the audio, including Obama's radical pastor, Reverend Wright, saying that white supremacy drives world policy.
There are people in power right now who have opinions about you based on their privilege of skin color. I am in the text. Pilate was European. Jesus was not European. They live in a world shaped by European standards of beauty, shaped by Moynihan studies, shaped by bell curves. They live in a different world from your world altogether. They are ignorant and arrogant, and these are graduates of Harvard and Yale setting policies for you based on the stupidity of David Hume, Immanuel Kant, Voltaire, George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, Thomas Jefferson, a pedophile, Theodore Roosevelt, and the racist Supreme Court. The ignorance and arrogance of white supremacy have the shapers and movers of world policy living in a different world from people of color altogether. And the sooner you realize that, the better off you're going to be.
You know, every once in a while, things occur in the United States of America that leave you with your mouth hanging over. You just heard the inner Obama. You just heard the words that are no doubt spoken in the White House when no one is listening. You just heard the modus operandi of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, is my estimation. Whose words were those? Those were the words spoken in the Metropolitan Baptist Church in Charleston, West Virginia by Obama's pastor, Reverend Wright, who said that white supremacy drives world policy. A man who attacked some of the greatest minds in history, Thomas Jefferson and Voltaire and Theodore Roosevelt, as a politician, are beyond reproach in terms of intelligence, and yet this lowlife, nobody, hateful, black supremacist is attacking them as ignorant and arrogant. Now, if it was just a crazy, ranting preacher in a church, we wouldn't even pay attention to it. However, you have to understand that Michelle and Barack Obama sat in this guy's church for 20 straight years, had their brains filled with this hatred and these lies, and are now presiding over the destruction of the United States of America. Their minds were warped and brainwashed by this psychotic. If, again, he was not president and he sat in that church, it would be one thing. But here's a man who was president who sat in that church. When I say to you that this is the most divisive, demonic situation this country has ever been in, I am not doing this for effect. But let us go back to Reverend Wright, who says that white supremacy drives world policy. On the face of it, it's stunning that he would get away with such racism. But when you actually analyze it, it's a lie on top of it all. Because I will remind you, and maybe this will make you uncomfortable, although he says that whites are ignorant and arrogant, the cars you drive, the lights you turn on, the medicines you use, virtually everything you do, including flushing your toilet, are all miracles made possible by the minds and spirits of men who Reverend Wright hates. If you would let this psychotic get any more traction in this country, we are going to wind up in a state less than the third world. And yet your children have been subjected to this kind of vile hatred in their colleges for well over 15 years now. The so-called deconstructionists, the people who have argued that people of white skin color are actually inferior, who have argued that every white person is a racist and every black person is a victim. They are trying to trigger a race war. I have never seen anything like this, especially in an election year. And if you can prove that I'm a racist for reminding you that trains, planes, cars, rockets, telescopes, tires, telephones, radios, television, electricity, atomic energy, computers, fax machines, are all miracles made possible by the minds and spirits of men who Reverend Wright hates and calls ignorant and stupid. Names like Ampere, Bell, Caselli, Edison, Ohm, Faraday, Einstein, Cohen, Teller, Shockley, Hertz, Marconi, Morse, Popov, Ford, Volta, Michelin, Dunlop, Watt, Diesel, Galileo, and other evil, arrogant, ignorant white males. Shall I remind you again of some of the other inventions, or does this disturb you in some way? Curse me if you want. Curse all white males if you want, but that won't change anything. But if you want to call me a liar, you'll have to come up with the proof that I'm wrong. Remember, I didn't say there were no important contributions by non-white males. I said the overwhelming majority of inventions are from white males. Of course, I know about such things as the Chinese and gunpowder, but they didn't take it much beyond firecrackers and pyrotechnics. I know about the pyramids and masonry of South America. I know about the zero of the Arabs, but would we have atomic physics and electricity if it hadn't been for the ancient Greek philosophers who, for example, had the idea that all matter consists of tiny atoms? Is that something that Reverend Wright can even fathom in his pea brain? Can he even comprehend what an atom is? All he knows is that racism sells, hatred sells. Aristotle, 5th century BC, 25th century pre-PC, used electric charges to treat gout. Archimedes perceived the center of gravity of solids, cylinders, and spheres. From the basic discoveries of Greek civilization, it went to the Romans, and after the fall of Rome, it passed to later Europeans who expanded on the scientific knowledge. In modern times, these ideas were developed by such European white males as Volta, Ampere, Watt, Bell, Edison, and Einstein, who provided the basis for most of the technical wonders of today. All of them ignorant, arrogant white males. Maybe you got your enlightenment from one of the Ivy League institutions of diseducation. Maybe they taught you that it's all the result of white racism and oppression. That every time a potential Einstein, Edison, or Ford popped up in the third world, a white hit squad would swoop down and eliminate him before he had a chance to prove himself. Maybe they didn't have proper daycare facilities. Maybe our would-be innovator came from a dysfunctional family. Maybe they told you that. Well, it's all wrong.
Number one, I'm not divisive. The media is divisive. Number two, CBS, ABC, SNBC, and Fox News spent $4,000 each buying 20 years of my sermons so that they could hear what Barack Obama had heard for 20 years. Then they took an 8-year-old sermon and a 5-year-old sermon and took 2 clauses out of context to try to scare white voters away from Barack Obama.
Okay, so that's Reverend Wright saying that he's not divisive, and that these news media outlets took him out of context. All right, let's take it on the face that he's not lying. And yet in the same sermon, what I'm about to play for you is not taken out of context, or is it? Listen to clip 2.
There are people in power right now who have opinions about you based on their privilege of skin color. I am in the text. Pilate was European, Jesus was not European. They live in a world shaped by European standards of beauty, shaped by Moynihan studies, shaped by bell curves. They live in a different world from your world altogether. They are ignorant and arrogant, and these are graduates of Harvard and Yale setting policies for you based on the stupidity of David Hume, Immanuel Kant, Voltaire, George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, Thomas Jefferson, a pedophile, Theodore Roosevelt, and the racist Supreme Court.
That's Obama's inner man. That is Reverend Wright. He's at it again, saying that a genius like Voltaire, a genius such as Jefferson, these geniuses are nothing compared to Reverend Wright. He's trying to turn the world upside down. I didn't take it out of context. It's him speaking this weekend. It's beyond comprehension to call Voltaire ignorant and arrogant, to call Thomas Jefferson a pedophile and get away with it. Why is he doing it now? You know I'm asking you a loaded question. I believe it's because Obama's brain, Axelrod, has told him to unleash again. How can I ever prove it? I can't. But I believe that Obama's brain, Axelrod, sat down and said to Wright, go, you're on. Let it out again. Let her rip. Start the racial hatred again. Start the racial fires going again. Let her rip. Well, the only calculation he's making is that this will excite the black base, and he's figuring the white male, the blue-collar white male is so stupid that he'll vote for Obama again. In that sense that he's actually making that calculated risk. That the white male who voted for Obama the first time will do it again because he's that much of a moron. He has his hat on backwards. He goes to a ball game, wears a jersey with a ball player's name on it, has a golf club and has in the closet, doesn't know what's going on in the world, could care less. That's what he's calculating, Obama's brain. That's what I'm guessing. The next president must be proud of America, willing to laugh at the lunatic fringe pushing the theory of supremacy this, supremacy that. The next president must restore America to its position as the supreme military and financial power in the world. And unless they stand up to this endless stream of lies, we are going to see this man win again, and the rest will be history. I'm warning you, he will be president for life. Because if he can get away with that, he can get away with anything, which would include eliminating term limits. With the stroke of a pen, he will be president for life. Believe it or not, it could happen here.
Savage.